Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit anyone's needs or budget. I also live stream all of my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so on today's build, we're building a PC for Ali. So it's going to be a big upgrade for Ali from what he had, but it is a second-hand PC. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be fitting a GTX 1660, which I have got right here. And we have, I'm not sure what CPU is under this cooler. We've got 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. We're going to install a 250 gigabyte SSD here. And we're also going to put in a big chunky 4 terabyte SSD. Because Ali likes to do a bit of drone piloting and photography, so he needs a bit of space when working with raw video and stuff. So that's what the 4 terabyte drive is. We've got to keep the cost of this down as much as possible because Ali is broke like everyone else and can't really afford to get a brand new PC. So this is a pretty good setup anyway. Got a text message then. Nope, that is a nothing. Alrighty, so let's have a look at this motherboard today. So we've got an old Asus B75M Plus motherboard here. So I'll walk you around the features on this motherboard, or the lack of features. So we've got a 4-pin CPU power connector here. So obviously it's powering our CPU, our VRM, and all of our co-processors and everything else. Got a little voltage selector here for, it looks like USB. So sometimes back in the old days we had to move these little jumper headers around on different pins to get the motherboard to work right. So this one over here is obviously our CPU fan connector. That's where our CPU is plugged in. We have our memory, as I said, 16 gigabytes of DDR3 memory. We have our 24-pin ATX power connector. And we have 6 SATA ports here, and you'll notice that one is white and the others are blue, so there's an important distinction there. Our modern SATA is essentially all running at 6 gigabits, whereas these blue ones are only half that speed. So on a modern motherboard you don't have to worry about this, but on an older motherboard you might see one that's coloured differently. That will likely be labelled as SATA 6 gigabyte, and that's the one that you want to plug your boot drive into. Okay, so down the bottom here we have, looks like a speaker header. We've got a USB 3 front panel connection there. Looks like our front panel connectors on this header down here. We've got a couple of USB 2.0s, we've got COM, serial, front panel audio. What else we got hiding around here? So we've got another looks like USB voltage selector, and we have our clear CMOS. So 2 different positions there for depending on whether you want the CMOS normal position. We've also got a Sony Philips digital interface output there as well. And as normal, we have our front panel audio down here, and obviously all of our audio connections and audio system is down in this bottom corner, which is why our audio is down here as well. We also have gigabit Ethernet. It would be, we've got 2 USB 2.0s, 2 USB 3.0s, we've got a HDMI port, a VGA port, and a DVI port there. Depending on the CPU, they may or may not be active. We've got 2 USB 2s, and we've got a PS2. We've got 2 PS2 ports, one for keyboard and one for mouse. The only other things we haven't discussed on this motherboard is we've got another fan header here, which will come in handy for this build. We have a PCIe X16 slot. We have an X1 slot there, and we also have an old PCI slot. So this is the precursor slot before we had PCIe, which is the standard that we use today. Alrighty, so that's a bit of a rundown on this motherboard. And so this case we've got is a second-hand Thermaltake case. a 120 on the rear exhaust, and there's another 120 at the top there as well, so should have excellent airflow for its purposes. We have a micro ATX board here, as you can see, so we have the standard 6 pins, and our offsets in this case are the standard 6. Excellent. So that saved me one job. This case also comes with a Corsair 750 watt power supply. I don't have the box for that, and I can't see the statistics on the side without removing it, but I would imagine that it's one of those 80 plus bronze ones. Should be pretty decent. I know that Ali has another power supply if he got into trouble. It's only a 550 watt, but this 750 watt power supply is more than enough power for this setup. So in addition to that, we have a pretty funky retro looking. Look at these dials. This is for fans. So there's a fan controller at the back there. Got a dust filter there, decent dust filter. So this case has been blown out with the leaf blower, so there's not much dust left in it. So let's get started. Since we've already got our power supply installed, we can just turn our attention straight to putting the motherboard in the case. So we'll move it down here. We do actually have the I/O shield for this board, so that's pretty good. Let's get some of these cables out of the way. Let's get this I/O shield in. Yep, that's in. All those clips are up, it's good. So we'll pick up our motherboard by the cooler there. There we go. So there's our motherboard mounted. We just need to put in the screws now. So let's see, what screws do we require here? It's like the smalls, or I should say the fine threaded screws. Oh, it's actually not a bad case for airflow and cable management, which we'll get to. Oh. Go. Okay, got our motherboard installed there, and so we just need to install our CPU power. There we go. That's looking pretty neat. We can stick our CPU cable. Shouldn't need any cables to hold it down. Should just be able to slide it in like that. Speaking of things that slide in and out, this should be a slider. No? No, we do have a bulb for that. So this is for our 2.5-inch SSD. Alrighty. This is a WD Blue SSD, this one. So these pretty much perform as good as any of the brand name 2.5-inch SATA SSDs in terms of their read-write performance and just the overall quality of it. Because the thing you gotta remember for SSDs, there are only 4 manufacturers in the entire world that produce NAND flash. Doesn't matter how many brands of SSDs you find out there, pretty much there is 4 companies that produce it en masse. One is Kioxia, who produce Western Digital. The other one is Samsung. The other one is Micron, aka Crucial. And the third one is a company called SK Hynix. So it doesn't matter what company you buy, you're getting NAND flash produced by one of these 4 manufacturers. So the point is the quality control is really decent. Hang on a second. I think I may have a customer here. Hello, Tim speaking. Oh, yep, no worries. Yep, no worries. I'll see you down at the gate. Alright, see ya. Alright, just give me a second. I've just got to run out to a customer who's dropped. Sorry guys, I'm back with you now. Let's see what comments I've missed. Why can't I see comments? For some reason, I can't see the Facebook comments. Just bear with me, people. Facebook is not showing me anyone's comments. Nope, sorry. I can't see anyone's comments there. So, if I'm not very responsive at the moment. Oh. SSD. They've got no moving parts, and as such, they really don't need to be fastened down. It's more like maintaining the status quo that they have for things to be securely fastened. There's no like mechanical reason why they have to be kept fastened like this. This is just humans being humans. Because if you didn't have one of these trays, you could just install one of these and just leave it loose, sitting there next to the power supply. It's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. The only person who can get hurt by it is you. If you're a completionist and that just doesn't sit right with you, then I completely understand. But from a functional perspective, no, it's not necessary. This is being difficult. I have to lie this thing for this. You would think it'd be easy. Nah. I've got to like push up on the bracket. There we go. Now that thing's not going anywhere. So now we can install our 4 terabyte So we've got these hard drive trays here. We can just remove one of them, and this is one that will require screws. Is that really secure? How's that feel? Yeah? Not the most secure hard drive tray I've ever seen. I'll allow it. So we can start by plugging in our SSD power here. Make sure you leave enough cable length to actually get to your hard drive. Try to not get your wires crossed. Try and run this at the back of any other cables. Try to use the entire length of the cable so that that's a cleaner look. Just like that. And so now we will need a couple of SATA cables. And so we're going to utilize the I'm going to plug that in. And our SATAs are through this one. So we're just going to set that through there. As for our other SSD, we'll put that through, but we will actually plug in. We won't plug in the hard drive just yet. So now let's deal with all of these front panel USB and audio connections. So we're going to be routing these down here, and they're all along the bottom. In our front panels, these will definitely go through the same opening, which will be here, and then our USB and our audio will come through here, and we'll keep all of those cables nicely tied up like that. Now we can connect everything up out the front. We'll start with this USB 3. Because this is an older PC, I'm going to be installing the speaker, because there's more chance of an older PC having some sort of problem with the motherboard, the RAM, or the graphics card, or pretty much any component other than the 2 new drives that we've installed. Front panel audio, now USB 2.0, and now we just have our front panel connections. So these are a pain if you don't build computers every day, because you forget which header everything's meant to go onto. But it's essentially a standardized thing across all board manufacturers in most cases. Most cases. Got power switch on. The easiest way to remember it is the power switch goes on the top right 2 pins there, and right next to it is the 2 individual ones, the power LED positive and power LED negative. And then the ones that are under power and under the LEDs is the hard drive LEDs go under the power LEDs, and the reset switch goes under the power switch. And so that's pretty much all you've got to know there. So we've got all of these hooked up. We haven't done any cable management yet. We've just sort of plugged them in there. And realistically, we just have our motherboard power supply and our graphics card to install. So for our motherboard power supply, we'll plug it in just like that. There'll be a little bit of cable there, but alright, so now we just have to plug in a graphics card. Here it is, the GTX 1060. This is kind of like the precursor of the 1660. So here it is. 6-pin power connector. Is it 6 gigabytes? 6 gigabytes of GDDR5 memory. So it's a decent little card for what it is. Display port, DVI and HDMI. Yep, that's correct. I'll pull these two things out because all of the ports in our graphics card are in use. And we'll plug in. And we'll just get a couple of bolts and screw that that graphics card in. There we go. There we go. So we are all done. Ready to power on.
It's like 5 comments.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going
No,
on.
something weird's going on with Facebook comments. Alright, so let's plug up some peripherals and some power. And let's get an operating system on it. Oh. And we got a post. And I've got power to the keyboard. And I've got a post screen. So let me just share the screen with you. You can join me. Oh, so our DIMMs are actually 3 GB DIMMs, not 4 GB DIMMs. So I've actually got 12 gigabytes of RAM on this device. So I'm going to enter setup. Alrighty, so all good, all good, all good. Let's go to advanced mode. Yes, please. Memory frequency. Could probably push that memory a bit harder. But we got an i5 3570K, so we can overclock this bad boy. Here is our overclock screen here. Everything here should be fine. I don't think I'll have to pre-configure anything for that. Yeah, that's fine. And so yeah, sorry the comments aren't really working there. It's a bit of a pain.
These green LEDs around the dials.
You like that?
It's old school. Excuse me.
Okay. So we'll install Windows 10. There we go. And now we can plug our secondary in. So you just have to get to this point and then you can plug in your regular hard drive or other SSD. Just means that Windows will install all parts of Windows on the same drive. So it shouldn't take too long on this setup. Okay. Alrighty, so we'll get some software installed on here, get some Windows updates going on, and just tidy up some cables, and this one will be ready for collection. What was that warning? Go back up to YouTube.
That comes up
Open. Can you open that? Alright. So we can start this up, get rid of things that we don't need, and we'll get some Windows updates going on. While that's going on, put down a couple of custom icons, as I always do. Alright. Okay, that's going on. Definitely get all these updates. So these updates here, these are, some of these probably not that applicable to this system, but we'll get them anyway, just in case there's any random issues. Okay, while we wait for that, let's set up our 4TB drive. Still waiting on that graphics card driver. Oh, not want to change that yet. Alright, so let's set up our new hard drive. Drive letter D. Storage hard disk drive. There we go. And there it is. 4 terabytes. Well, 3.63 terabytes. Here's our graphics card driver. There we go. Look at that. Alright. So let's get what we didn't get installed, which was GeForce Experience, and Origin. I don't think there is anything else on here that we need to install. No, it's looking pretty good. Sweet as. Ugh. Don't know where that's come from. Alrighty, how's those updates going now that I've got those cables tucked away? Yep, all good. Still installing that last one. Alrighty. %, it's nearly there. We get our graphics card fans tuned. Set up Reaver tuner. games, 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 and games, applications. Okay. Nearly there. Let me just do some nerdy shit here. Oh. Okay. Sweet as. So. Okay. So no issues overheating there, doesn't look like. So this number here is not too important as a gaming CPU. This number's more important. It dictates your gaming performance. Yeah, so I reckon this could be, it's not letting me change anything in XTU, but because it's a K series, we'll be able to overclock this through BIOS. So definitely some performance, extra performance to be had there. And so we're not going to firmark it because it's an older GPU. I don't use firmark on older technology. Actually, stop that. See how she goes. About 100 frames a second here in the opening scene. It's not bad. So I think Ali's going to be pretty happy with this compared to what he had. It's no 3080, but I mean, you know, it's a 1060, and these days, if you can, even if you can get a 1060, you're pretty lucky to get it. So now that we've got everything running, let's start stressing it. Alrighty, well, I guess this is pretty much the end of the video. I've just got to enter the stress test and he'll be right to pick this up. I'm sorry I can't answer any of your questions because the comments have stuffed up on Facebook, so I will reply once I finish the stream. But yeah, I don't know what happened there. Even refresh the page and everything, they're just not showing up for some reason. Blame Facebook on that one. But yeah, this is what I'll be running until Ali gets here. Let's just adjust the date and time. At the correct percentage there for the temperature. It'll ramp up if it has to, but it's just keeping it down at a nice equilibrium there. And temp indicator 8. So I would be thinking that this temp indicator is not actually plugged in. That's why we're seeing the anomalous readings there. Minimum temperature 100 degrees? I don't think so. So if you ever see a value like that in a hardware monitor, it's most likely something that's not actually connected up on the motherboard. It's just showing those temperatures by default. So we can't see any other temperatures that are corresponding to that, and we're not seeing a big spike in temperatures once we've started using it. We're actually just seeing it basically staying at a minimum of 100 degrees. So you can call that one an anomaly there, so don't read too much into that. You can see our system, which will probably be our chipset, CPU, socket that would be. This would be our actual CPU. No, that might be VRM or MOSFET. CPU's at 70, so I'm not seeing a CPU. There, that'll be the socket temperature. So no issues here at all. So look, everyone, thanks for watching, and I'll get back to you in the next video. So next one that's coming up is a computer repair. It won't be tonight, it'll be tomorrow. The guy just dropped in a computer just before, so he's been having issues with his Windows installation, blue screening and stuff when he tries to do a few things. So I'm just going to be diagnosing it. So If you're having a computer issue where you're getting lots of blue screens in Windows at random times, might be a good one to check out. So I'll be doing that one tomorrow morning. So have a good one, and I'll see you all in the next video.